Welcome to another edition of Bet with Bobano. It is Tuesday, July 16th. Ian Cameron with you. Uh, it's a very light week, really, in sports until we get to Friday when MLB resumes and CFL Week 7 kicks off. Um, I am not even going to talk about the All-Star game tonight. I mentioned my thoughts on the All-Star game yesterday, along with the Home Run Derby on the show. So if you missed that, make sure you tune in. This show is strictly going to be pretty much an NFL division preview show. And we talked NFC East yesterday on Bet with Bobano, so make sure you check that out. Today we're going to do the NFC North with the Detroit Lions, Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, and Minnesota Vikings. We will look at that division today on this show, and that's primarily going to be the subject matter, if you will, on this very light Tuesday, July 16th edition of Bet with Bobano. I was about to say Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy, and I did want to mention I will be recording Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy for this week tomorrow, and I will have former CFL wide receiver with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Chris Getzlaff, joining me as a guest on the show, and we will preview Week 7 already in the CFL, so that will be recorded tomorrow, and we will have that show posted right here on my YouTube channel, probably by Wednesday evening as usual. So Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy, that will be posted tomorrow to get you ready for CFL Week 7 with complete analysis of that. There is a big announcement that I made earlier today in terms of the sports betting subscription service. As you guys know, Dub Club has been my home for the last few years. It's where you get every wager in every sport every single day from me. Well, there's now going to be an alternative subscription option that is going to be available to everybody starting today. And I'm just going to post it on the screen right here. There it is, the announcement I made on Twitter earlier today that I'll be launching a subscription service option for me at SoBet, which is an app that's been around now for several months. It's fairly new still. And this subscription is a lot more affordable than I think Dub Club's affordable because it's $75 a month, all sports for a high volume bettor like myself. But this is $9.95 per month, $9.95 per month. And with your subscription to SoBet, you get basically a feed to myself, who will post wagers that I make on SoBet, but also every other sports betting content provider and handicapper and bettor that puts out plays on the SoBet app. You will also get their content and their plays as well. So really what that $9.95 per month is it's going to get you not only my stuff that gets posted to SoBet, but also the wagers and bets made by the other content providers, handicappers, and bettors using SoBet. So you'll get all of that for $9.95. And it's very important to note as well with the subscription to SoBet, there is going to be a major difference between that and Dub Club. Dub Club is full everything. It's going to be the full card in football, hockey, basketball, baseball, every single day, every bet, as you guys know, gets posted on Dub Club. That's not going to change. SoBet will not be a complete full high volume card subscription, which is also why it's much lesser priced. And it's why I was comfortable when they approached me, SoBet, the folks there, to come on board and start using them. I said, well, you know what? I can't have my Dub Club members paying $75 a month and the SoBet members paying $9.95 a month and them getting everything at SoBet that you can get at Dub Club. Wouldn't be fair to the Dub Club people that are members and have been subscribers there with me for a while. So what I said is I'm going to make SoBet basically a place for me to post a selective amount of wagers. It's not going to be everything. I'm not posting every bet at SoBet when I start there later this week. I will be selective with what I post there on a daily basis in every sport. And there it is on the screen. Yes, I made sure I specified this on Twitter. The SoBet wagers that I post starting this week, it'll be selective. Maybe 2, 3, 4 bets a day max in each sport. And it'll feature pretty much what I deem to be my top plays and best bets in each sport each day. Now, I want to clarify and make this very, very clear. I do not differ in the amount that I place on one bet to the next. So while SoBet will be selective and isolated to my top plays and best bets, what I think are my best bets in each sport each day, the amount that I actually place on the best bets compared to the amount that I place on the other bets is very minimal. The difference, very minimal. In fact, pretty close to almost the same. So I want to specify that. And it's because I'm not going to alter my approach and a style of money management that has worked for me for years. And that is not really saying, well, this is a lock. This is a can't miss play. This is such a good bet. I've got to go 10 times my normal betting amount. No, I've never really bet that way, especially the last few years, and I'm not going to start now. So very important to note that while the SoBet subscription, $9.95 per month, will get you my selective top plays and best bets daily in each sport, each day, it won't be a big difference in my personal amount on the best bets compared to the full card, which will still be available exclusively over at Dub Club for the prices that I've been mentioning on this show throughout. So very important to make that distinction and mention that major difference is that, yes, I will still be a high volume better in every sport. That will continue. But the high volume full card on a daily basis in every sport, in all sports, will remain exclusive to Dub Club and that platform. So every single bet will be still at Dub Club. At SoBet, for the $9.95 per month subscription, it'll be just a select few bets each day in each sport that I deem to be my stronger opinions. So hopefully that makes everything very clear about how that's going to work moving forward. So again, it's a little bit more of a cost-effective, less expensive approach. If you want to sign up with SoBet for $9.95 per month, it's kind of like a top play best bet subscription for me. Whereas Dub Club, that's the full subscription with Dub Club, and it's going to remain there and only there. And that is every side, every total, every player prop, everything I bet will be posted to Dub Club. At SoBet, maybe just one top player prop, just one top side, one top total, in each sport each day. That is going to be the main difference between the SoBet and the Dub Club subscription. So that is now available to you, SoBet, launching there. The page is up. My actual profile page on SoBet is up there. Obviously, Friday will be the first official day that I'll be posting plays at SoBet on Friday. And like I said, they will be what I deem to be my strongest opinions that day in each sport. And again, the high volume full card will remain exclusive to Dub Club subscribers. And speaking of Dub Club subscribers, we do want to mention, of course, that the discount offers are still in place. 6 months all sports. Now, this is the full card. You get everything that I bet each and every day. 6 months all sports discount at Dub Club, $400 down to $250. Now through January, you'll get the entire NFL regular season, the college football season. There's the link to it below. And, of course, also the $39 off birthday promo codes for Dub Club are still in effect for the rest of the week, okay, right through to Saturday. So the 1 month, 3 months, and 1 year all sports subscriptions at Dub Club are $39 off. I turned 39, believe it or not, on Sunday. So it's like a little birthday discount, if you will, to celebrate me turning 39 years old, 1 year from the dreaded 4-0. I can't fucking believe it, quite honestly. But 1 month all sports until this weekend will be discounted from $75, the regular price, down to $36, the $39 off for 1 month all sports at Dub Club. 3 months all sports discounted from the regular price of $200 down to $161 for 3 months all sports, again with that $39 off birthday promo code. And 1 year all sports, the longest term subscription you can get, $750 normal price for that, discounted to $711 for 1 full year all sports at Dub Club using those birthday promo codes. So there you go. And again, the birthday promo codes will be available until Saturday for the 1 year, 1 month, and 3 months discount. Very important to point out the 6 months all sports discount. This is going to be valid until August 24th. So you've still got time. And I already know there's someone, Gas Station Sushi. He sent me a message about subscribing to the 6 months all sports. He's going to wait till August to sign up. That's fine. And you will basically get 6 months then into February if you wait until August. So there's people that are going to wait till early, mid-August, right before that college football season starts, so that they basically are covered for the entire football season, not just the NFL regular season, but the playoffs and the Super Bowl as well. Because if you sign up early to mid-August, that'll take you into early to mid-February 2025. So you'll obviously get the entire football season, including the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. So I understand the decision-making process that people are taking with that. So again, 6 months all sports down to $250 US. This particular offer, the 6-month offer, that will be valid until August the 24th, which is the first day of the college football season. So you can sign up basically anytime between now and August 24th for 6 months, and you will get it down to $250 US. The other three, these three, 1 month, 3 month, 1 year, the birthday codes, those are only good till Saturday. So it's just a 1 week, birthday week type of offer and deal and discount. So if you want in on those, make sure you get in on those during the course of the week. All right, let's talk a little NFC North. Yeah, definitely a division that's very, very intriguing this year. No question about that. I think when you look at just the complexion of this division, you certainly saw basically the Detroit Lions for the first time in my lifetime assert themselves as the clear best team, in the NFC North last year. There's no question. And they will be looking to obviously repeat as division champions this year. You look at the current odds right now for the NFC North. This is on Bet365. Detroit plus 145, division favorites to win the NFC North. Green Bay Packers plus 200, Chicago Bears plus 300, and the Minnesota Vikings plus 850 is what we are looking at with the current prices. Again, we're going to be doing individual videos, and which will be posted on my YouTube channel in the weeks to come for every NFL division. So these are going to be brief synopsis here today for the NFC North, just a brief overview. Chicago, here's the thing with Chicago. We know Caleb Williams. They expect him to be the franchise quarterback. He's obviously got great talent, can throw accurately. He's got great ability to navigate the pocket, make all the throws, run with the football, athletic enough to make plays when the pocket collapses. Now, I know going back to the mini camps that took place, obviously, earlier in the spring and OTAs and all that stuff. He didn't look great, Caleb Williams. It was the report in a lot of those OTA minicamp situations. But again, I take that with a grain of salt. And this is coming too from somebody that is not totally sold on Caleb Williams, believe it or not. I don't think he played particularly great, in his final year at USC. He was absolutely spectacular 2 years ago. No question about that. It was an amazing season for Caleb Williams at quarterback for the Trojans 2 years ago. I thought last year there were times that, especially later in the year, he didn't play phenomenal, and there would be times he'd force the football. There were times that obviously he would make a few mistakes. So from that standpoint, there's definitely room for improvement for Caleb Williams. There's no question about it. There's no denying that they've got all kinds of skill position talent, 100% with obviously what they've got with DJ Moore. There's no question about that. They signed Keenan Allen. But again, Keenan Allen's had tons of injury issues with the Chargers. Who the hell knows if he's going to stay healthy this year? And there's a reason why the Chargers didn't bring him back. And those health and injury concerns are a big reason why. They draft Rome Odunze, who obviously had a great college career with the Washington Huskies. They expect him to be a bona fide, great receiver in this league. I mean, they do have potential to have a very good receiving core. Make no mistake about it. But, is the O-line going to be good enough? Because if you look at that group last year, and they got DeAndre Swift, too, the running back, brought in as well. There's depth. Khalil Herbert's back in the running back group as well. There's depth there now for the Bears. Like I say, the weapons are not the issue. The issue is going to be, I think, in the trenches. This is an offensive line that for years for Chicago has not been up to par. It's not been up to snuff. And if you look at the other teams in the division, especially a team like the Detroit Lions, who can get after the quarterback with the pass rush, is that offensive line for the Chicago Bears ready to take a step forward this year? It's a big-time question mark. Still is, in my opinion. So it's going to be interesting to see how they perform. It's going to be imperative, I think, for that group. The blocking up front is going to be important. They have the right tackle, Darnell Wright, who was selected in the first round last year. But I think he's got to improve. The other guy on the left side, the left tackle spot, is very young as well, Braxton Jones. So, can those tackles hold up? There were injuries in the interior of the O-line last year that hurt the Chicago Bears. Can those guys stay healthy? There's just all kinds of just concerns. And if, you're only as good as your O-line. And yes, Caleb Williams has mobility, but you're talking about a guy that's not seen NFL defenses and changing schemes and changing blitzes and all that. It could be a learning curve for him. And Chicago defensively last year was actually the group that, held them in games. And really, it's amazing to see how the Bears defense early in the season was terrible. They were brutal. They got ripped apart by, the likes of Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield. They had guys that gave up, they had horrible defensive efforts, but they all of a sudden, later in the season, especially in the second half, they really did come on strong. There is no question about that. And I think when you look at it, the defense improved with Jalen Johnson coming back from injury. He returned, and he was definitely a lot better from that point on. You look at what else they've got. They got Terrell Smith showed, some quality too. The secondary improved. The linebacking core also. And, of course, they bring in Montez Sweat as well during the season last year, and it really bolstered the D-line for Chicago. And that's really when that defense turned into a pretty good one down the stretch. But you're still talking about a team that first half of the year, your defense was garbage. Second half of the year, your defense was, borderline terrific, in a lot of games. So can Chicago play consistently in that side of the football for 17 games this year is going to be the question moving forward. I'm just still not a fan of Eberflus either, the coach. I'm just not. His game management, his decision-making is often puzzling. It's head-scratching. I don't know if he's a great leader. I don't know if he's someone where his locker room speeches resonate. I don't know if he's got that kind of personality. I'm not sold on that being the case. So he's still got a lot to prove. To me, Chicago is still firmly behind the Packers and the Lions in this division. I do think they're probably a little bit ahead of the Vikings, but here's the issue. Because I kind of want to here, Chicago the last few years. Okay, let's put this into perspective. Okay, going back to 2016, 3 wins, 5 wins, 8 wins, 8 wins, 6 wins, 3 wins, 7 wins. They had that one great year, 2018, where they went 12-4. Other than that, this team hasn't cracked more than 8 wins. And you look now at Chicago, and people now are kind of expecting them to win 9, when they've only done that once since 2016 with an unproven commodity. Even though he might be great in time, it's still an unproven commodity in Williams. Can the O-line hang in there? Their win total is 8.5. Like, you are not getting a bargain in the season win totals market to bet Chicago over. That's just the way I see it. You're not. The only reason why, personally, I have not bet under 8.5 wins yet with Chicago, which you can get a plus money, or you can go under 9 and lay a moderate price. with Chicago's win total under 9. The main reason why I have not gone in that direction yet and bet the under is because Chicago's schedule really isn't that bad. And if you look at the early part of their schedule in particular, they really do have a lot of winnable games against teams that I really don't think are going to be that good this season. I mean, you look at that Chicago schedule early on and what they've got. I mean, they've got Tennessee at home. At Houston certainly will be a little bit of a tricky game. At the Colts, but home to the Rams, home to the Panthers, Jacksonville in London, at Washington, at Arizona, home to that stretch there in October into November after their bye week. They've got at Washington, at Arizona, home to New England. They could go 3-0 in those games. And I'm not high on Chicago. I'm not overly high on Chicago. And even I'll admit that after their bye week at Washington, at Arizona, and home to New England, they could damn well go 3-0 in those games. Sure, they can. There's not a game and there's not an opponent coming out of that bye week where Chicago is, certainly in trouble. They're all teams they can beat. Washington, Arizona, New England. There's potential 3 wins right there. They can beat Carolina at home. They could probably beat Tennessee at home. They could probably, give Indianapolis a tough game. Down the stretch, they've got winnable games. Now, that does toughen up. They have a lot of division games late in the season. They're going to have to play Detroit twice, November, December. They're going to have to play San Francisco, which won't be easy on the road. There's going to be some tough games coming up there for the Bears, no question. But it's just, to me, we're talking about a franchise that's been dismal more often than not the last few years. So I want to bet them under. I can only bet them under. I don't want to ask the Bears to win 9 games for me, and I'm not going to ask them to do that. I will not do that. But the only reason why I'm a little hesitant to go under, even though I would lean that way, if you told me if I got a chance to make it a stance, I would only take under with this Bears win total. The schedule could get them to 9 wins because it's set up for them where that, especially in that first half of the season, the schedule is manageable for them. So we'll see how it goes. But I don't think they're ready to contend in the NFC North. Not yet. And not with that coach, as far as I'm concerned. Detroit Lions, I'm going to keep it very brief with them. I think they're clearly the best team in this division. I don't think last year was a fluke. I don't think last year was an anomaly. I don't think last year was a one-off. This is a team that has been built well through the draft, built well by the GM, who has done an incredible job here with the Detroit Lions. He's seriously one of the best GMs in the NFL right now, Brad Holmes, for this Detroit Lions team. He's done an outstanding job. Tremendous. Phenomenal. There's not enough words to explain how good Brad Holmes has done as the GM of this Lions team. The laughing stock at one time, and they've now built up not only great starting, not only great players across the starting offense, starting defense, they've got depth now too. That's what's very impressive about this Detroit Lions team. Jared Goff, a career revival. I think he's deserving of the contract. He played well. And people are saying, well, he got the bag now. He got the money. He's going to fall flat on his face. I don't think he will. There's too many weapons. This is one of the absolute best offensive lines in the NFL. There's absolutely no denying that whatsoever when you've got what the Detroit Lions have on that group with Penei Sewell, with Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow. They've got just a tremendous offensive line. Kevin Zeitler has been a very good offensive lineman over his career with the Baltimore Ravens, is now with this Detroit Lions team as well. So that's just a very, very good offensive line. They're one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. I don't think anyone with a brain can deny that. Anyone that knows football, nobody can deny that. The Detroit's got one of the best offensive lines. They've got great skill position group. Jahmyr Gibbs showed you how just incredibly explosive he can be. Not only running the football, but catching it out of the backfield. David Montgomery, obviously. It's a nice little mix they've got, obviously, with him and Gibbs in that running back tandem for the Detroit Lions. And we saw that last year, no doubt. And then you look at some of the other, and then you look at the receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown, breakout year for him. Absolutely incredible season. Jamison Williams, I think now that he's healthy, you're going to see him perform well. They got Khalif Raymond, who has stepped up as well. That's a great receiving core. We saw how good a tight end already Sam Laporta was for Detroit last year as well. I mean, it's a loaded offense. It's a quarterback that's comfortable here, knows the offense. It's an elite offensive line. You got a great tandem at running back. You've got many weapons at receiver, a terrific tight end. What's not to like? And if you actually look at Detroit's schedule this year, they are playing a lot of their games in dome stadiums, indoor confines. And if you want to quibble about this Detroit team the last couple of years, including last year, when it comes to Jared Goff in particular, his performance in outside climate, outdoors, you'd see a little drop off. You would. You'd definitely see a drop off. You'd see a little bit of a decline in Jared Goff and the Detroit offense when they had to play outdoors or in cold weather. And you look at the fact that their schedule this year, they play so many dome games, so many indoor in stadiums. That is an incredible benefit to this Detroit Lions team and specifically their offense. I mean, their offense is going to be one of the best in the NFL, unless their offensive line suffers 3 starters or 4 out due to injury and Goff gets hurt and they have to end up going to Hendon Hooker or someone else at quarterback, Sudfeld. Unless Goff gets hurt, multiple starters on the O-line get hurt, and you deal with maybe some attrition at the skill positions, there's no reason this offense is going to be anything but superb because it's set up perfectly for them to be that way this season. And then on the defensive side of the football, that was always the part of the team that it felt was lagging just a little bit behind, but we saw that defense definitely improve during the course of the season. They did some good things as well in the draft. They traded up to get that Terrion Arnold, who's a highly thought of cornerback. No question about that. So they really focused on defense because as good as the offense is, the defense is probably still the area they could look to improve. There's no question. So the secondary they're looking to bolster. I love that, Brad Holmes and the scouting staff and the front office really looked into bolstering that secondary as well. So that was good to see. They acquired, Carlton Davis, who's had a very solid career with Tampa Bay in the offseason as well, which was good to see. This defense was definitely upgraded, in my opinion. The pass rush, of course, we know obviously what they have with Aiden Hutchinson. He is going to be someone to be feared for the extended future for this Detroit team. He's already a very good pass rusher, Aiden Hutchinson, and he's only going to get better. They bring in DJ Reader at the nose tackle spot, which was good to see coming over from the Bengals. That guy is good, in terms of stopping the run. He can even rush the quarterback too. Marcus Davenport, another veteran brought in. Obviously, Hutchinson, incredible. What did he have? 11 and a half sacks last year. He's already established himself one of the premier pass rushers in the NFL. This defense was improved. I mean, if you want to quibble, the linebacking core, you could a little bit better needed there. And when you look at it, the linebacking core, Jack Campbell, who is a rookie but a first-round pick, he's probably going to be better this year in that linebacking core. You're going to have to see if Alex Anzalone can play well. He was pretty solid, though. Derek Barnes probably can improve a little bit. But so if you want to quibble, the linebacking core is probably a little bit of a question mark more for them. But the secondary's improved with what they've got there now, and Carlton Davis coming in. And Brian Branch was tremendous in that secondary, and he was only a rookie last year. You've got to believe he's going to have the chance to be even better this year as well. So the defense to me is, if not as the very least as good as it was last year, to me it's probably a little bit better. You look at the schedule here for the Detroit Lions coming into this season. Obviously, there's going to be some challenges to it. No question about that. But the front office has done an outstanding job. They've got upgraded the secondary, which was the one issue for them. They got burned with the pass defense last year a little bit, so that area should be better. To me, this is a team that their win total is 10.5. I like their win total over 10.5. I think it's 11-7 or 11-6 team minimum this year. I think 11-6 is the floor for the Detroit Lions, and I think they have a chance to win 12, maybe even 13 games this season, but I at the very least think they can get to 11. And again, their win total is sitting at 10.5 right now. So I do like that Detroit Lions win total over 10.5 here this season. And they are my choice to win this division again. I still think, and we'll get to Green Bay in a moment. I just think Green Bay is not defensively where Detroit is. I think on their best day, they can maybe match Detroit point for point with their offense, but I do think their defense is definitely behind where Detroit's is right now when it comes to the NFC North. So, yeah, Detroit at a plus 145 price to win the NFC North with that schedule, too, where they play so many indoor games, which is going to be just incredible for and great news for this explosive, dynamic, potent Detroit offense and loaded Detroit offense led by Jared Goff. I think they do win this division, and they also go over their win total. Speaking of the Green Bay Packers, they're next up. Which Green Bay Packers is the real Green Bay Packers? Last year in the first half, what a dismal disappointment they were. There's no denying that. What a dismal disappointment the Green Bay Packers were for the first half of the season. At times their offense looked all right, and they had some great wins, obviously. There's no question about that. But they also had some terrible performances. They lost to the likes of the Raiders and the Denver Broncos. And, they were down big, against the New Orleans Saints in a game last year. But then all of a sudden they got red hot down the stretch. They caught fire. Jordan Love, in particular, got on a roll. And Green Bay really started to get things going down the stretch. And all their numbers improved. There's no question. Now, when you look at them this year, Josh Jacobs brought in because Aaron Jones is gone. So Josh Jacobs becomes the new starting running back. Marshawn Lloyd and the veteran A.J. Dillon behind him. The receiving core is clearly going to be very good. You can't deny that with Green Bay, especially if these guys play the way we saw them play down the stretch and the way they played in the late part of the season and into the playoffs in particular, because the quartet that they have going into next season just on their own, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, especially the latter two. Like, we knew Watson was pretty good. Romeo Doubs, I think, all season was pretty good for Green Bay. But in that stretch in the second half of the season and into the playoffs, when Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks really started to heat up in the receiving game for Jordan Love, that's really when that Green Bay offense took off and became even better. Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, solid, at least at the tight end spot. The offensive line as well for the Green Bay Packers. If you look, everyone's going to be. I'm at the point now where I know David Bakhtiari, is gone, but he never was healthy anyway. They like Jordan Morgan, who they took to bolster that O-line in the draft this past spring. We'll see how he fares there. They think they can bolster that. There's still some questions along that O-line in terms of continuity, chemistry, and we'll see how they go here. But, I think when you look at it, that group did improve down the stretch last season. So, and help that offense look as explosive and just obviously productive as they were down the stretch. On the defensive side of the football, obviously, there are a couple of guys that have to be replaced here. But I think the front office did an okay job addressing it. We'll see how he fares here. But Xavier McKinney was a signing in the offseason for Green Bay. That's an important one as well to try to shore things up. There's no question. Of course, they ended up, unfortunately, losing Devondre Campbell, really, really, really strong linebacker. We'll see how they fare with that, trying to replace him. But it's going to be interesting. They went into the draft to try to bolster that group. We'll see how they fare with that. Look, the pass rush is good with Rashawn Gary's got to stay healthy, though. There's another guy that's had some injury issues, but when he is healthy, he's great. And Preston Smith, it goes without saying, he's been great as far as getting pressure on opposing QBs. Rashawn Gary, can he finally stay healthy, is really the bigger question, I think, going into this season. Kenny Clark was pretty good as well as far as nose tackle production. It's good against the run, got after the quarterback as well. And it's going to be interesting. Rasul Douglas, of course, off to Buffalo last season. There's some issues in the secondary they're going to have to address here. But you look at Jair Alexander, he's still there. He's still one of the better shutdown corners in the NFL. You just got to find who you're gonna pair with him at the other side, because this could be one of those deals where if you don't shore up that number 2 corner spot, it's going to be one of those deals where Jair Alexander, his side of the field, is going to become Revis Island, like many years ago with the New York Jets when Darrelle Revis played there, where opposing quarterbacks and opposing offensive coordinators just aren't going to fucking throw the football to that side of the field because they're that fearful and they're that respectful of the quality that Jair Alexander brings at the cornerback spot. So if you don't have a pretty solid player at the other side in that number 2 corner spot, that could be a spot that gets picked on a little bit by Jared Goff when they play Detroit and some of the other good quarterbacks that Green Bay are going to have to play this season. Green Bay's win total, of course, when you look at it coming into this season, right now sitting at around 9.5. I don't have a strong feel for the win total either way. I don't want to bet it over because you got to put in a full season body of work to get to 10-8 or 10-7, I should say, or better this season if you're the Packers. But I could see them being a 9-10 win team at the very least. So maybe slightly lean over, but I do worry about the defense a little bit. And I still look at this team as kind of a Jekyll and Hyde team from last year. Terrible in the first half. Now, some people will say, and that's why I kind of still lean over with Green Bay, that the second half and the playoff Green Bay is more the Green Bay we're going to see this year, not the team that struggled early. But I still think there's more upside. There's just a better, stronger team all around is Detroit coming into this season. So I'm not betting it much with Green Bay, not betting their win total, and not betting them to win the division either. We wrap up with Minnesota. Look, I think Sam Darnold's going to start for them. I think J.J. McCarthy, it sounds like it's going to be a ways before he starts for this team. It's probably going to be Sam Darnold's job in week 1. And look, Sam Darnold and the rights. The one thing about Sam Darnold, look, we know it was a disaster for him when he started his NFL career. And it was another one of the many quarterbacks for the New York Jets that just didn't pan out. We get it. But, in a little bit of a starting role with Carolina, he was okay. San Francisco, there were times he'd enter the game last year. It was okay. But now he's going to likely get back to being a starting quarterback, and obviously that's where he's had very little success. Now, it was with a Jets team years ago when he had the extended run to be a starter with very little to work with, probably poorly coached. The one thing he's got going for him here is Kevin O'Connell's on his side. Kevin O'Connell, a very solid offensive mind to hopefully put him in, better situations for success here this season and moving forward. But again, that's not a given. If you're Sam Darnold, you've still got to go out there and perform, at a very high level. Will he be able to do that in a division that's not easy, in a division where you now see Caleb Williams at the quarterback spot, a rookie, but someone that could be a C.J. Stroud. I'm not saying he'll be as great as C.J. Stroud was as a rookie, but again, it's not impossible anymore for a rookie quarterback to play well right away. So what if Caleb Williams, plays better than even most people think? And obviously, what if Jordan Love plays a lot like he did in the second half of the year? What if Jared Goff, continues to have an incredible run with Detroit like he had last year? That means Sam Darnold's going to have to move the football and put up points when you're dealing with the potential for 3 other explosive offenses in this division: Chicago, Green Bay, and Detroit. So that's going to fall on Sam Darnold here for Minnesota. The good news for them is you can probably throw their receiving core up against anybody's when you've got Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson leading it, at the receiver spot. There's no question they've got just Brandon Powell, Trent Sherfield, tons of weapons, TJ Hawkinson at tight end. They bring in Aaron Jones, a traitor, I'm sure, to Packers fans. Aaron Jones now with the Minnesota Vikings this year. So it's going to be interesting to see that offense. If Sam Darnold doesn't make mistakes, puts the ball, in areas, let the playmakers, don't force it. Let the playmakers make plays. that's going to be that's probably going to be the blueprint here for Sam Darnold this year. Let just don't screw it up and let the playmakers play make, because you got a bunch of them, on this offense. One thing that does concern me here a little bit for Minnesota, is can the O-line stay healthy? Because I think when they are healthy, it's a very capable offensive line. But Christian Darrisaw is a guy that always got hurt last year. And he is so important. It's unreal how much the Minnesota offensive line was better when Darrisaw played and how much worse it was when he didn't play. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. It was an impact injury every time he did not suit up on that Vikings offensive line. It was always, when I was doing my NFL handicapping last season, but always one of the first things when a Minnesota game was being looked at by me, let's check out what Darrisaw's in. And that was always important because there was a noticeable difference in the collective performance of the Minnesota Vikings offensive line with and without Darrisaw on the field last year, no doubt. So that is something you're going to want to be aware of too this year. Can he maintain better health? It's going to be interesting. The interior of the O-line, we're going to have to see how it gels, because there were at times when people ran the football against Minnesota with success. So that's going to be interesting to see how they fare on that defensive side. The O-line too, can they get the run game going? Can they help Aaron Jones get open and get those open spaces and open up holes for him to run the football? That's going to be interesting, no doubt. Now, we know their defense, 2 years ago was absolutely terrible. It was an absolutely brutal defense. And they definitely improved last year. Brian Flores was brought in as the defensive coordinator here for this Minnesota Vikings team, and you did see improvement. No question about that for the defense. But you look at up front, there's going to be some changeover. Danielle Hunter's gone. Andrew Van Ginkel brought in from the Miami Dolphins. Jonathan Greenard as well. Greenard was a good addition. Greenard had double-digit sacks with the Houston Texans last year, but I thought Andrew Van Ginkel had maybe his best season of his career last year in Miami. Rip Van Ginkel, as actually Chris Berman likes to say it. I say it too. But he's coming off a good year. Going to be interesting to see how that D-line, because they lost some pieces. Can those guys come in and play as well this year? And then, of course, you look at the linebacking core as well here for Minnesota. It's going to be interesting because, you've got some concerns there a little bit. You've got Harrison Phillips, obviously, and Jonathan Bullard. It's going to be interesting to see how they fare along that D-line. The secondary, you look at it for the Minnesota Vikings. They were torched at times last year. That's still a work in progress. There'd be times they'd give up big plays in the secondary. They do like Byron Murphy. There's no question. But you look at the other players there. Kyrie Jack. Actually, he was the one that passed away tragic. Mekhi Blackman. You look. Shaq Griffin was brought in. Can they stabilize the secondary? Is a big question. There's a lot of questions still on that defense, and that defense, which was awful 2 years ago, and all of a sudden last year, they were probably middle of the pack, maybe slightly below average. Even with that improvement last year in the Minnesota defense, going from, one of the worst defenses in the NFL a couple seasons ago to, just slightly below average last year. Slightly below average in this division is not going to cut it. Not when you're dealing with Jordan Love, not when you're dealing with Jared Goff, and not when you're dealing with maybe potentially a better than expected for his rookie campaign, Caleb Williams. So you put that all together, and you worry about this Minnesota defense when you factor in how many good offenses and quarterbacks they're going to have to play in their own division, let alone the rest of their schedule. That's going to be something that you get concerned about a little bit for the Vikings going into this season. So I think when you look at the schedule, at Giants, home to the 49ers, home to the Texans, at the Packers, home to the Jets. They got some home to the Lions. It's a very tough opening to their season. I could probably only look under with the Minnesota Vikings. There's still too many questions with their defense. Sam Darnold, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not piling on Sam Darnold. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, thinking maybe he could surprise and maybe play better than people think. But I've still got to see it before I'm fully ready to commit to that and believe it. Because, after all, we know the last time Sam Darnold had significant starting opportunity, he couldn't get the job done. And that is something that we're going to have to watch for. He's got the weapons. He's got Addison and Justin Jefferson and a good receiving core, good tight end. O-line is better, and especially if Darrisaw is healthy, that's a good offensive line. I mean, there are pieces in place for Sam Darnold to succeed here, but now he's got to take the opportunity and run with it. All right, good stuff. There's your NFC North. Best bet, it's going to come from this, obviously, NFC North preview. It's going to be the Detroit line. I'm going to go with Detroit team total over as my best bet. I was debating whether I make the team total or the division champion or the division win future my best bet. Both of these are going to be on my season win totals and futures report, by the way. And again, that report will be posted August the 1st at Dub Club. The NFL season win totals and futures report will only be on Dub Club. It's a perfect example. I mentioned earlier the difference between the SoBet subscription, which is only my top plays and best bets, very selective on a daily basis with those, and the Dub Club subscription, which is everything. The NFL season win totals and futures report will only be a Dub Club. It will only be included with Dub Club members. Because it's going to be a lot of bets. It's going to be high volume, and that is why it will be with that. So, again, keep that in mind. But Detroit, their win total over and to win the NFC North at around plus 145 will be on that win total. And, again, Detroit plus 145 to win the NFC North. But I like that win total just as much, if not more. So, for this best bet today on Bet with Bobano, we will go with Detroit team total, Detroit Lions. Season win total over 10.5. You can get that anywhere from minus 120 to around minus 140, minus 145 at some spots. But I think we get 11 plus wins from the Detroit Lions in 2024. Again, keep in mind, and this is critical to what I was looking at with Detroit. They're loaded on offense. They've significantly improved the defense. I know Dan Campbell drives you nuts with the fourth down decision-making and some of the decision-making in game, but the players absolutely love this guy, would run through a brick wall for him. That's important as far as building a winning culture is concerned. And more importantly, they play so many games indoors in dome stadiums, and that is huge for the Detroit Lions because we have at times seen their offense decline and dip when they play outdoors, but when they play in indoor confines, they are tough to stop. And I think that is going to be a big benefit to them this year. So Detroit over 10.5 wins for the best bet on today's edition of Bet with Bobano. There you go. Shout out to everyone for tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. Subscribe to the channel. We've got shows for Bet with Bobano all week, Monday to Friday now moving forward. Ian Cameron's Football Frenzy will be recorded and posted tomorrow with Chris Getzlaff, former CFL receiver, my guest. That's it. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Bet like Tony Soprano. Bet with Bobano. And we will see you again tomorrow on Wednesday for another edition of Bet with Bobano.